Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Empire.
Hey babies, hey babies. Hi everyone, hi everyone, hi everyone. I haven't had a losing streak in a while. This is a new one. Took a while to get around to it, which is an accomplishment in itself. Let's silver lining this thing off the bat. Yes, they lost. Yes, they lost to a good team. Yes, it's 2 in 4 days. They're 7-4. So I think I've been prepping myself all week for that. I knew this was a big ask for this team, such a big ask. And through 3 quarters, I had hope and dreams because the defense somehow kept the Eagles to 6 points, and then it just went sideways. Totally sideways.
No, it went bad. I mean, it was both sides of the ball too. Like Jaden couldn't get the ball to wide receivers, 10 yards down the field. The defense, you could tell, was just worn down. You saw it all stacked up, by the end of that game last night.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Let's see where to start. Let's go with the big decision first. I think that's an important one. I'm not sure they would have won 13-12. Okay, let's start there because the defense was looking like they were kind of done for the evening, and the last 4 days seemed to have caught up with them big time. That said, this is the first decision that Dan Quinn made, I think, all year that I totally didn't agree with. The score was 12-10. They got what appears to be second straight week bad spot on the John Bates thing, at least. But everything happened so fast, they ran up and ran a play anyway that we didn't have time to really review it. But then upon review, it looked like they got a bad spot. So it should have been 1st and 10. It wasn't. Doesn't excuse them that they couldn't get 5 inches on 3 plays. So 2nd down, they get pushed backwards half yard. 3rd down, they get pushed backwards again. I know what they've done on 4th down all year. The only time they failed all year was the 4th and 9 a week ago. That might have been a bad spot there too. So I appreciate confidence. I appreciate how clutch they've been. I also know they were in a 12-10 game on the road and taking the lead in the 4th quarter, even if everything that still happened with Saquon beyond that, I still think would have been the right thing to do because they had gone backwards 2 plays in a row. So this is the first time that I would say I disagree with the decision that was made last night. And it's easy to say that because it failed. But I mean, in reality, I think they should have kicked the ball there personally.
In the moment, I disagreed with it. And then by the end of the night, I was okay with it because we saw what happened to the defense. They didn't just fall apart. Like Saquon literally ended the game a couple of times, literally against them. And I'm with you. In the moment, I was kind of like, I think you take that lead, but then you kind of just
back.
But you look at both sides of the ball. I guess what I'm getting at here is damned if you do, damned if you don't. But he was trying to make a decision to try to make this team in a better position to win in the long run in that game, and it just didn't work out. I'm okay with it, is what I'm getting at. I don't love it, but I'm okay with it.
But I would also argue this, and again, like you don't know what's going to happen after, right? Their kicker had missed 2 field goals and an extra point. So the only reason why they'd be leading was because of that reason, which I think if Washington is leading, gives the Eagles a little more pause about kicking again. Just if it's any kind of marginal distance, anything beyond 40, I think they're thinking about it again differently than maybe they would in any other scenario, which is why I think you kick there. More than anything is why I think you kick there, because their kicker was unreliable for the night, like big time unreliable. And if they do get into field goal range, and if Washington does hold them from getting out of the end zone, it just gets dicey in that stadium, like real dicey for a moment. Like you'll feel the tension. So that's the main reason why. Well, 1, I would have taken the lead in the 4th quarter on the road. 2, because their kicker was so off, I think that it was the right thing to do. Now, if they get it, they get it. And then, fine. But it felt a little Dan Campbell. last night is what it felt like. It felt a little Dan Campbell. I agree this was going the wrong way. And I agree that they probably needed to score a touchdown. But I didn't think at the time it was the right decision, and I still don't. It felt a little, we're just going to go for it because that's what we do, and kind of took the scenario out of play for a moment. There was 8 minutes left. This is a road game in Philadelphia. You can get the lead back. I would have taken it.
The one thing I would say, whether they're going to go for it or not, actually, too, would have been to take a timeout. I mean, I think that would have been I know they only had 2 left, I think, by that point. I think I would have done that too, because you also saw that play was a little rushed. Like Jaden bobbled the snap. Like you could tell it was a little execution wise. We're not used to that this year.
Go look at the line. The guys were running the wrong way. They ran into each other.
And that's the other.
So whatever the play was clearly not communicated well, one way or the other. Yeah.
Exactly. That was the other part about that, was like, clearly there was a little helter-skelter, happening there too. I wish they would have taken the time not to take a moment to compose themselves. Not to mention too, Jaden bobbles the snap and runs to the short side. Like that was also kind of a little baffling as well there.
Yeah. I mean, this goes back to this team needs a bye really badly. It became so evident to me after the Steelers game. Like they had this crazy high of the Hail Mary. They survived that week and won in New York, but not unlike, this has been a trend now. Chicago was shut out in the first half, scored 15 points in the second half. Giants game never felt like that it was going to get away from them, but they scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, drew second-half touchdowns as well, including one late. I was handed a note last night that over the last 3 games in the fourth quarter, they've been outscored 39-11, and that includes the touchdown that was scored with 30 seconds left last night when the game was essentially over. The team needs a bye, like very badly. Let's see what the mini bye does for them, but they've needed it. And the thing that was really jarring about the Steelers game was, and I think like we tried to look at both sides of it, because it was, well, they didn't execute very well. It was by far their worst level of execution kind of across the board. And they almost won anyway against a really good team. And we're kind of like trying to balance that. And last night it reared up again. There was a drive where they had a drop. They had a total miss. They had a penalty and they punted the ball, and it cost them points. And then there at the end, when they do decide to be overly aggressive, in my opinion, a little overly aggressive for what the situation dictated, they didn't get the play in correctly, and they ran into each other. And then Jaden scrambling for his life, and unfortunately couldn't get to the edge in time. And that's an execution thing. And so it all reads to me like this team really needs a break, like a mental, physical break. And I'm hoping these few days are long enough to turn around and beat what is a beat up Dallas team, and then just get to Tennessee knowing there's a break on the other side of that. And if they do those 2 things, it is 9-4. I'm not counting any chickens though. Like this team needs a break really badly. And so the only bright side, because the setup felt so bad, was that they will have a long break, and Dallas will be on a short week because they're playing on Monday night. So let's hope it adds up to some kind of win. And I don't even care. Like I said this last week, I don't care what the style points are against the Cowboys. I just hope they win. And if they win, then I'm going to feel like everything's fine again.
Not only that, it's 2 games at home. Like it's not only 2 winnable opponents, it's 2 beatable opponents, I should say. It's 2 games at home. And look, I don't care if Thursday night's at Philly or New York. You're still having to travel on a short week. Your hours are just cut, having to travel to anywhere. And that was also a factor here, I thought, this week too, that it's going to be a short week. They're tired. They also had to go on the road for this thing. And even though it's a short trip, it's still on the road. You're taking them out of their element a little bit.
Yeah, the O-line's worn down, like clearly. This is 2 weeks in a row. Brandon Coleman's been beaten off the edge a number of times. He is dealing with a shoulder injury. He's also a rookie might be catching up with him a little bit. He needs a break. Cornelius Lucas was active last night. I don't know how ready he is, but he was active last night. I am all for the rotation at left tackle again. I'm starting to get it a little bit with that. And you know what? Like if he's available, he's a veteran. You guys want to start rotating the tackles again? I am totally for that. It was nice to have Wiley back last night. I thought that was a good thing. Again, this team is willing to fight. They're willing to go in there. They're willing to do their best, but they're worn down and they need a break. Biotish has been beat up. Cosby's taken on a lot this year. Wiley missed the game last. I mean, I know he's active, but he missed the game last week. He was just an emergency call-up if they needed him. Alec Reddy's been kind of fighting through the whole thing. This O-line needs a break very badly. And hopefully on the other side, they can turn back around and get back to the execution they were at, because I think mentally and physically they're worn down. Just go look at that fourth down play and you'll see it. Like, they are mentally and physically worn down right now.
The other side of that too is it's taking away from their personnel. Remember, Cliff was going heavy early on in the season too.
Yes.
They were putting all the tackles in there at the same time. I don't think we've seen that in a month, at least over a month, to put in a heavy personnel too.
Let's see. Jaden was off target last night. So I called it execution missed opportunities a week ago. He had some drops. He also had some misses. The Luke McCaffrey one stands out. The Olamide Zaccheaus one stands out in the second half, where a drive got blown up because he had a miss there. Last night, he was off. I mean, like, he short-armed a couple throws that, could have gotten there. I mean, I need to really look at it more to understand why the receivers were basically not involved in the game last night. I mean, I know that wasn't purposeful, but Terry not getting a target until the second half and only making one catch, I think, if I have that right, off of last night. And Noah Brown was targeted a couple of times. McCaffrey had one target because it was he's a third, fourth option. I don't know. Like, again, this is another one where you go, I think the season's catching up with him a little bit, that he is a rookie. I really need to watch again, because the trend line to me over the last few weeks were teams that don't bring a lot of pressure were bringing more than they usually do. In the Eagles' case, that Jalen Carter guy is such a ridiculous monster that I think they probably don't feel like they have to do a lot of that. But I want to watch, just because I don't really totally remember how many times are they bringing more than 4. And the concern for me was, this is now going to become unavoidable that he's going to get hit, whether he gets rid of the ball or not. And again, he's another one, probably needs a break, had a cut on his hand, been dealing with the rib injury. Season suddenly is getting really long. Those are 2 really good defenses, 2 top 5 defenses that he faced over in a 4-day period. He needs a break too, because he had been so pinpoint accurate that it's been jarring to watch this. And last night was even more so, because it wasn't just like, oh, this guy cut inside and he missed them and he threw it just a touch outside. He short-armed a couple of those throws last night. He was backing up a couple of times last night, which we hadn't seen a lot of with him. He needs a break too. It's pretty obvious.
No, and it was also where those balls were going on the inaccurate ones too. Like, I think I mentioned it, it's at the first down marker, 10 yards down the field, and it's hitting dudes in the feet. Like, he did that multiple times late in the game. He had one where I want to say it was deep to McCaffrey, same thing. Like, had he just had it higher, McCaffrey makes a throw and it's like a gain of 20 or something like that. These were going in places we haven't seen him throw. And that's where I was kind of like, all right, this dude is so worn down. He can't step into the ball as much as he wants to. And that's what I'm with you. We were so used to the accuracy with him and so used to the placement that, like, watching some of those balls hit the feet of the wide receivers, that was like, oh man, this is not good right now.
Yeah, I'll reiterate what I said last week. Even regardless, win or lose of this game, see you guys on Monday, maybe Wednesday. Like, yeah. I think Dan Quinn will do this. He'll give him a few days off, because he totally is, like, aware of and cognizant of the mental and physical health of the team. They've been very careful with players throughout the year and held them out at times where I think under different circumstances he may ask them to go and put it on the line, but he hasn't done that. I think this is a total see on Wednesday situation, or maybe come in Monday, but, like, tell the truth could be on Zoom, guys. Like, I think they just need a break. And I think a good today, Saturday, Sunday period, and definitively, like, open the doors on Monday for everybody to come in. But if you want to slow roll that one too, I would be all for that. This team has been into this process. They have totally been on board. It's not for a lack of desire, effort, fight, passion, all that stuff. I just think they need a break. It is so clearly obvious that they do. So give it to them. I think they've earned it. They deserve it. I know, like, it's counterintuitive off the first losing streak of the season, but them losing these 2 games, I don't think is anything more than about, this is a team that doesn't have the best roster in the NFL, that was 7-2 coming into a very tough week with a big ask, with injuries starting to kind of pile up. Give them the break. They've earned it. And that's how I kind of feel about it.
Not only that, I think we've gotten, 15 minutes into the show and we haven't even mentioned They played the Steelers on Sunday, one of the most physical teams in the league, and had to turn around and play the Eagles too. Like, don't discount that. Like, we're starting to see in the NFL now, this matters when you play against physical teams, that the following week actually does matter. And not even the following week, 4 days later actually matters here too. I think that's a factor here too. We knew going into the game that they needed a little bit of a break, and they played one of the most physical teams in the league.
I am now with John Mara, too. I will not sleep well because Saquon Barkley is in Philadelphia. This is going to turn out to be the move of the offseason. He has over 1,100 yards rushing in 10 games. He also had a couple big pass plays, including his longest reception of the year last night. He will surge into discussions about offensive player of the year minimum, and I think MVP at some point, because he is on that team. I know they have a lot of great players, but they leaned on him early when their offense wasn't going. He kind of kept them afloat. Then he's done crazy things like the backwards leaping over people. So he's had like highlight of the year type of thing. And the only reason why he doesn't have more touchdowns is because Hurts gets Hurts vultures him, because they're so good with that tush push and short yardage stuff that Hurts has a lot of rushing touchdowns in the red zone. Otherwise, he would have those McCaffrey numbers from a year ago where not only would you see all the yardage, he'd have a ton of scores too, because obviously they would give it to him. He's what takes them over the top. Like, they can now run the ball 40 sometimes a game and score 30 points a game. 26 is what they landed on because of missed field goals. Otherwise, they would have scored 30. This has happened a few times now since their bye week and since they kind of changed this direction of we're going to be much more of a run-heavy team and less of the pass-heavy team. Like, there's like an avalanche hits at some point. We're not the only one to see it last night. This happened against Dallas a week ago. That was a close game with like a minute and a half left in the first half. And then all of a sudden the floodgates opened and he hits a couple of big runs and it's like everything falls apart on you. Like, you're just trying to keep it together, but you could feel the holes like being poked in the boat and you could feel it start to sink. And then he just shoots the cannonball into it and it's the Titanic. Like, I've seen this now like 3 or 4 times over the last month where at some point in time, he makes 2 or 3 huge runs, and it's like you just get bulldozed by these guys. And it happened again last night, and I'm not surprised. The volume of plays they've played, how beat up they are, the fact. This is again why I think that field goal kicking there, I think would have mattered a little bit, just mentally, to look up at the clock and go, we're winning. There's 8 minutes to go. They may not have won anyway, but it's just another reason why I just think mentally you needed to stay in it for just a little bit longer. And I think that decision was a bad one. And then all of a sudden, the defense quite didn't have enough anymore. And you give that guy any space, and he kills you. And so to the Giants, I would say to you, again, I don't know if you were watching last night, but do you now know why you could have given him the extra $5,000 he asked for and not let him go there? Because he's embarrassing everybody now on that team.
To your point, too, though, to the counterpoint, it still works the other way, too. They might have gone up, and he still might have demoralized them the following drive. Like, that's the other part of this is I don't know how much it would have done for the defense. I just know, too, like, once that guy gets going, you can tell guys just do not want to touch him either. Like, I mean, that was the first time I saw with that defense. There were a couple business decisions being made with some of those guys kind of slow rolling to go over to that dude for the first time.
He's, with McCaffrey being hurt all year, he and Henry are having the best years. He's the best running back in the NFL, which is why all along I'm like, I don't know why you take the line in the sand that they took with him. He is your best player. I firmly believe in you pay your superstars. I don't care what position they're at. Like, I don't give me this is what the market is for this position. That guy's special. Go look at what he's doing. He's going to have over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. And if he stays on this pace, he's going to have 1,800 yards rushing or more. Like, and he'd have 25 touchdowns if they didn't give it to Hurts in the red zone every single time. So he's a difference maker for that offense in a way that makes, in my opinion, them and Detroit, the front runners in the NFC, San Francisco's kind of turned this corner now. They're back over 500, so watch out. But who else do you buy other than Detroit and Philadelphia right now as one of the two teams that's going to end up in the Super Bowl? And for Washington, like we'll see this weekend with Pittsburgh and Baltimore, it's going to be a great game. You could make a case that they played the two Super Bowl teams in a 4 days period. That's possible.
No, 100%. By the way, I wish I would have talked to you yesterday. Like, did you notice it was the 2-year anniversary of them beating Philly up there for the Monday night?
The day?
It was 2 years to the day that they played Philly on that Monday night game and beat them. It was 3 years to the day that they played the Bucks at home and beat Brady and the Bucks. And so I went into yesterday going, maybe November 14th is like just their day. And then into the third quarter, I was thinking the same thing. But no, then the Saquon avalanche happened, and it was pretty much over from there on. So.
Yeah, pretty brutal. All right, let's get into the rest of Week 11 next. Brad wants to show ESPN 630, the Sports Cap.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Behind the delivery trucks that keep your life stocked, thousands of employees at BP go to work every day. People bringing a new offshore production platform online. People making our refineries capable of more, like making renewable diesel from agricultural waste. People trading and shipping fuels to our customers. And people helping truckers fill up and get maintenance at our convenient locations. They're part of the more than 300,000 jobs BP supports across the country. Learn more at bp.com/investing in America.
All right, welcome back. Let's go through the slate outside of the rough start of the week for us with a loss in Philadelphia last night to drop us to 7-4. What to do in Chicago? They get the Packers. They are team. Everyone has an answer for them. The conversation has turned in a way that I think is actually appropriate here. Clearly, Matt Eberflus is not going to be back, right? Like they're going to make a change. Like the ownership doesn't fire people in season, and at this point, it appears that they don't want to. But it is ugly in a way where if the players are indeed asking for the rookie quarterback to be benched, or they're demanding people get fired, or their body language is so off, and even their press conferences, they're like, this sucks, so he's going to get fired whenever it happens. The next hire they make will be the most important hire they've made in a very, very, very long time, because it has to get right with Caleb Williams. Otherwise, they could ruin him. They could. And I'm not willing to throw that on Williams yet. I think this was a mistake from the get-go, that whether Eberflus deserved it or not, they needed to clean the slate, bring in a new coaching staff, likely an offensive coaching staff with him, and let him, grow and develop with the new staff together. But they didn't do that. And because this went sideways, now all of a sudden they have to circle the wagons and get a new coach in. I've seen this before. We've seen this before. That oftentimes doesn't work. You inherit the player. The player's got a bad locker room right now. You're not going to get rid of all these guys. You have too many good players on the roster. It's going to take a magician to figure out how to get them back all on the same page. And, for the sake of, I'm rooting for this kid because he's one of us, I really hope that they get this hiring right. Otherwise, this is going to be one of the all-time promises unfulfilled careers. You can see it coming, and it's steamrolling towards it. So I just hope they get through this season now, and whoever they hire gets this kid turned around. That's what I hope.
Yeah, I'm never rooting against Caleb. I will say, though, as you know, I've become a Bears hater because of their fans this past year. And seeing just this fall apart in a way that we've seen before, but like even worse, is a little satisfying. And knowing that we were the team to break them, like they lost 3 straight games and we basically started that with the last play of the game. I have one stat for you that is the most jarring stat, though, on the Bears that I talked about earlier this week on my show. It was from the 33rd team posted this one. Out of 468 starting quarterbacks who had like a minimum of, let's call it, I think it was like 25 or 50 attempts, 15 yards or more. Do you want to take a guess at where Caleb Williams ranks in completing those passes? 15 yards or more, 468. He is the worst quarterback when it comes to 15 yards or more. I don't care who your coach is at that point. That is crazy when you think about that.
I was trying to be nice when we played them because they were so chirpy about him because they had won a couple of games. And I watched him and I'm like, God, I think the way I put it was, he looks like a rookie.
Yeah.
I was trying to be nice about it because, most rookies do look like rookies.
Sure.
Ours just doesn't, that's all. And there's no downfield passing game at all, even though they have devastating receivers, but it doesn't exist. There's not much of an intermediate game. They're not on the same page because every play is running around back there. There's no timing to anything. So it's going to take somebody to come in there and work with his unique skill set and get everybody, I think, back on the same page because this has gone completely sideways. And I assume, because seasons are long, that at some point everything will calm down and they have a very good roster and they'll probably win a couple more games, probably a few more. This weekend, I doubt it. Against Green Bay, who kind of needs it if they want to try to keep pace with Detroit. They kind of need it. So I like Green Bay, obviously. The Lions are 2 touchdown favorites against the Jaguars. I don't think the Jaguars are very good. I think their roster's better than their record, but I don't think they're very good, but that's a big number. Typically, that's for a team that totally sucks. And I don't see that here. In fact, I just watched the Jaguars 2 weeks ago to get ready for this Eagles game last night, and they were right there with Philadelphia. So they don't suck. This is emblematic of Vegas and the football world in general thinks the Lions are the best team in the NFL when you post a number like that.
Well, your boy Mac Jones is starting too. So you would think, that'd make the spread go the other way because he's better than Trev. So, I'm just.
Who's he going to cleat? Who's he going to cleat on Sunday?
I have no idea. I don't know. Either way, they're starting Trev or they're starting your boy Mac Jones. I'm not surprised Vegas is going to try to run this up because it could get ugly and it could get ugly fast. They can't come back.
What world are we in that the Lions are 14-point favorites against anybody?
Yes, that's not the world in 2024.
This is hope for everyone. I mean, literally, if this doesn't give you hope for your team, because it wasn't that long ago that nobody took them serious whatsoever, ever in my lifetime. And now they're such a juggernaut that they're a 2-touchdown favorite against a decent team. Not a bad one, a decent one.
It's also they threw 5 interceptions on the road and won last week. Like they're invincible right now.
that was ridiculous. Let's see. Vikings get a good scheduling break because they're kind of like Washington. Fast starters out of the gate. No one totally buys what the record is, but appreciates that they're better than people expected and they're pretty good. Their offense is struggling. They only scored 12 against Jacksonville last week. It's kind of turning. Everyone's taking shots at Darnold now, like, oh, it's Justin Jefferson, or, oh, I don't know. We'll see. So they catch the Titans here with a struggling offense, which means they should win. But I don't know. This is one of those, I don't think it's a blowout. I don't know, honestly. I pick Minnesota, obviously, but they don't win big. They didn't win big last week.
Who's starting at quarterback for the Titans, Bram?
Your boy.
Will Levis.
You really should get his jersey because you love him so much.
I mean, he's a meme. He's a walking meme. There's a moment every week with him. So, I'm with you. I don't know what the score is going to be, but it's a flow chart. Is Will Levis starting? Yes. Will the Titans win? No. That's what the flow chart is at this point. So that's how I'm rolling on this one.
Red Zone specials this week. Raiders, Miami. Cleveland, New Orleans. Mwah, that ought to be delicious. And Indianapolis and the Jets. That's right, Raj. You're in the Red Zone specials now. As predicted, Anthony Richardson is starting again for the Colts. Not surprised. Right thing to do. The Flacco magic wasn't going to happen again. The Colts don't have the roster that the Browns do. So he was not carrying Cleveland, but he had a lot of help around him last year, including a top 5 defense. That's not the case in Indianapolis. I knew it wasn't going to go this way again. The right thing to do is to put Richardson back out there. So get over whatever happened a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully it's a lesson learned for him too. You can't check out like that in the NFL. I know the going gets tough, but you got to stay in the fight, guy. Like we're going to give you one do-over for that one. Do it again. You're done. But like, let's do one do-over where things got really, 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 really hard. And you went, you know what? This isn't for me today. Okay. One time you get to do that. That's it. And with the Jets, I mean, I can't even believe Rodgers is still going on McAfee at this point. What is he going to say? Like, oh, I guess what? You start talking. Is he a cabinet pick for Trump? Like, what is he going to talk about now?
The other side of this too was, I don't know if you saw this. I want to say it was on The Athletic or someone else. They wrote about the media on the Jets of like, y'all were talking about this team nonstop, and now that they're losing, why are you all quiet about this now all of a sudden? And I agree with it actually. Like, oh, they start losing and you guys don't want to talk about them anymore? What's up with that? Like, that's not how we handle these things. So,
look at their roster, look at their team, look at their dysfunction. Why aren't you killing them?
Right. And everybody was kind of asking that question too. By the way, just on one of your Red Zone specials there, Vegas, Miami, where is that one at?
I don't know. Where is it at?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying I want to see the planes both ways though. I don't care where it's at because that's two party cities coming together there.
Oh, so that's right.
I'm just saying like that seems like it's a good time. I don't think the game's going to be good, but
your boy Minshew's back. That's cool.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, why not? Last stand for McVay and the Rambos at New England. Kind of need to win this one after a little clunker against Miami at home. They better win this one. They better figure it out. Otherwise, because San Francisco is now turning that corner back around. So if they lose this one somehow, it becomes suddenly a two-team race between the Niners and the Cardinals. And I have a pretty good guess who's going to end up winning that one. So for the Rams, slow start, a lot of injuries. All of a sudden, it turned back around midseason. And then you look at the schedule, including this one, and you go, this is why they're going to get back into contention. Not so fast after that Miami game. So this one's kind of it. Just not unlike how the Bears against New England a couple weeks ago, I went, this is it. If you can't win this one, you're done, honestly. Similarly, I know it's across the country for them, and New England is competitive, but that's a way better team. And they're one that's won a lot recently. So show me what you got, McVay. Otherwise, see you in 2025.
It's not only are the Niners turning it around, they're turning around and they have McCaffrey back. Like that's a recipe for everyone's disaster in that division. I kind of tapped out on them after they lost to Miami. They not only lost, their offense looked terrible against Miami's defense. I didn't see that coming. I think they remind me of one of those teams that are just up and down week to week. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to New England. New England's defense has shown up multiple times this season, and if they just take the blue,
a lot. I like their defense. Like just personnel wise, I like their defense. I just don't think on offense they have enough.
I think Mayo is a smart coach, at least when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. He's just going to take whatever Miami did and implement it on his defense. I think it's going to be a close game. I think maybe Patriots win this one.
As Mike Tomlin said, Mr. Jackson comes to Pittsburgh. Because last week, when someone asked him to compare Jaden Daniels to Lamar Jackson, he said, don't do that. He's a multiple-time MVP, and we're going to see Mr. Jackson. He's Mr. Jackson to us, which I like that nickname for him. Mr. Jackson goes to Pittsburgh. This will be a very telling game. Baltimore's defense has really gone the wrong way the last few weeks. Some of my Ravens friends tell me they believe it's the worst defense they've had in a long time. We saw what Pittsburgh can do. They don't ask Russ to do a lot, but the few times they do ask him to step up and make a big play down the field, it's happening over and over and over. Tough physical run defense. I think this is an old school. They've done a lot of these between these two. This is an old schooly fist fight, 20-17. If Lamar makes a crazy play, then maybe it opens up a little bit more than I expected to. But I anticipated defensive battle certainly from Pittsburgh. We'll see if Baltimore can hold up here against, now that Russ kind of has those outside the number deep throws going. They're tough to stop, actually.
No, I'm with you on this one. I think Pittsburgh could sneak away with this one, 20-17, 23-20, mainly because I also look at Baltimore's defense. Yeah, you can go down 21-7 against the Bengals and come back. you're not going down 21-7 to that team and coming back most likely with that
I don't
defense.
think so. I buy Jackson and Henry and those guys. I do.
Sure.
I just think like actually defensively doesn't look good right now for Baltimore. It doesn't.
Great.
All right, so we'll see. Bo versus Kirk. Who will like that? Is Bo Newkirk? Oh, you like that take. You like that take.
Both
Shawnee
nerdy white
P.
dudes. Yeah.
Yeah. Shawnee P wants Bo to put up one big, huge number so he can go, my guy's the rookie of the year. He's dying to say that. The guy who really should be in the race actually with Jaden for it is Brock Bowers, and nobody's talking about it. Like,
Agreed.
the guy's having a ridiculous rookie season. Like he's going to break rookie records for tight ends, and nobody's talking about it because his team stinks. Bo versus Kirk. Who will like that? I like Denver here. This is in Denver. Atlanta, I call them window dressing. Let's see it because, like, that team's extremely competitive. I don't think they're necessarily good, but this is Kirk, Falcons. If you guys are for real, you'll go there and win this game. And I don't know if they're ready for that. I like Denver this weekend.
I think Atlanta, they went sideways last week, right? They lost last week.
They lost to the Saints.
They're a coin flip, so I think the coin flips the other way. They win. That's just my logic on this one. I don't think they're consistent, so they lost last week. It means they'll win this week.
If Bo gets a late game winning drive and yells, "You like that?" Please,
that'd be amazing.
Don't look now. Niners are over 500 again, playing Seattle. Not unlike with the Rams, this feels a little last stand Seattle. Like they're. I thought they'd be better on defense with this coaching staff because that's why they hired them. And it hasn't necessarily been the case with them. Geno's erratic. It's back and forth. They have good offensive weapons, but it's too erratic for my liking. Early in the year, he was leading the league in passing. Obviously, I like the Niners. They're a much more known quantity. I don't buy Seattle. That ship has been going like this for a little while now. So I'll take the Niners here to continue to get back on track. And if they win, they're 2 games over 500. So everything's back on the table for them again.
No, I'll take the Niners here too. This is where we kind of knew that if they were healthy, they were going to start to take over the schedule. I think you got to go Niners here. And Seattle, by the way, like we haven't heard anything about our boy Howell out there. He must not be practicing that well, that they're not even giving him a sniff over Geno at this point. So yeah, give me the Niners.
We'll get to the other 4:00 game in a minute. The night game on Sunday is Cincinnati and the Chargers. And I think this is going to be Harbs' little wake-up call. I like Burrow and company who've been there, done that. They've been totally fine over the last few weeks. Burrow, if he had a better record, would be in the MVP conversations because he is lighting it up now. And their defense just isn't good enough, and their run game probably isn't good enough, and they're losing close games. I don't think the Chargers score enough to actually win this. So I actually really like Cincinnati this weekend. In fact, they're the ones I kind of like the most. This is kind of overdue. I don't think Burrow loses again. I think they knock off the Chargers.
I feel the complete opposite. I feel like the Bengals have been the one that we've been waiting to win one of these big games. I think it's going to be the Chargers to finally just knockout punch them for the rest of the year.
Huh.
Herbert looks like he's happy now, like showing a little emotion. I think this is a low scoring game and Harbs pulls it off. So I disagree. I'm on the opposite side of you. I think the Chargers win this one.
I will bet you a pair of khakis on this one.
I switched to coffee instead. I'd rather have that than a pair of khakis.
All right. And the last one, of course, next chapter, showdown, Kansas City, Buffalo. I wasn't sure that was going to be this way this year because Buffalo was in a reset year. But as it turns out, they reset and they're totally fine and maybe better than they were a year ago. Everyone is picking them because it's there, and everyone looks at Kansas City. I saw the best stat I saw was the Saints, because of their first couple of games, have led more through this point in the season in games than the Chiefs have, even though the Chiefs are undefeated. Eventually, they have to lose, but I will just say this, and, until they lose, I will not be picking against them because why would you? I don't care that they're not doing it in the way that you think they should be doing it. They are doing it every single week. They've had big injuries. Pacheco is out for a month. Rashee Rice has been out. Kelsey's, I don't know where he's been, but he's turning the corner again. And they always get better now. Andy Reid always gets better now. They turn the corner now. They're going to get better. So until they lose, I am not going to fall into the trap of picking against them. I will say, though, I won't be surprised for a second if Buffalo knocks them off, but count me into the people who goes, until they lose, I don't even want to hear it about picking against them.
No, 100%. They're also not only just winning, they're winning like the magical ways now. Like they block a field goal last week and they stay undefeated like that. Like it's getting to the point where it's like who has the black magic on the Chiefs now all of a sudden with them winning like this. Also, it's starting to. Last week, Kelsey scored. Like they're going to start going in a way that we haven't seen all season long. Oh, and they're just messing around with an undefeated record. Yeah, I'm not picking against the Chiefs either until they actually lose.
Not till they lose. All right. Spirit Spotlight is next as we have a huge match tomorrow. The NWSL semifinals, Spirit and Gotham. We'll give you a preview of that next. Ray Watch the Show, ESPN 630 to Sports Capital.
Time to move? Skip the hassles of selling during the holiday season and sell your home directly to Opendoor. Request an all-cash offer in minutes, close, and get paid in days. You can even pick your close date so you can move after New Year's. Start your move at Opendoor.com or download the Opendoor app. Opendoor is represented by Opendoor Brokerage Inc., license 02061130 in California, and Opendoor Brokerage LLC in its other markets. Terms and conditions apply.
With Uber Reserve, good things come to those who plan ahead. Family vacay? Reserve your ride as soon as you book your flights. To all the planners, now you can reserve your Uber ride up to 90 days in advance. See Uber app for details.
Whole Foods Market has Thanksgiving gatherings covered. First things first, reserve your no antibiotics ever fresh whole turkey today, starting at $2.99 a pound. Or go with their organic spiral cut bone-in ham, full of seared-in flavor. For sides, choose Whole Foods Market grab-and-go platters. Go even further and get your whole meal catered. Just order online by November 26th. Get Thanksgiving ready at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
All right, this week's Spirit Spotlight focuses in on the NWSL semifinals. It's the Spirit and Gotham at Audi Field on Saturday. High noon kickoff. Here I am with one of my broadcast partners, Mike Minnick. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, really excited for this. Only the third time the Spirit have been this far, and the first time they'll get to play a home semifinal since 2016. So really excited to see Audi. The atmosphere was amazing last week against AFC.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about it. Obviously, they had the late match magic again to tie the match. We'll go through a little bit of it, but the crowd, I was calling a Commanders game, so up against that, to have a sellout crowd, to have the engagement they had, it's just another sign of where this league is going.
Yeah, and the largest playoff crowd in the history on the East Coast. All the other ones have been Portland, Seattle, San Diego, places like that, but this is the biggest crowd ever on the East Coast for an NFL playoff game, and it was loud from the beginning. Any chance there was that it got electric. Watching the kind of the booth cam we had, watching the reaction to the Tara McCown goal, just the stadium was going nuts. And then Hirschfeld hits the bar to end regulation. It might have been even louder for that because that would have been the last touch of the game to win the game. So just a great atmosphere. And, the ticket sales have been really brisk already this week for the semifinal on Saturday. All
right, let's go through the Bay FC match a little bit. There was just not a lot of offense on really either side through the first half. What did you make of what was happening in the match?
Yeah, it seemed like a kind of a chess game, right? When you're seeing a team for the third time, especially for Bay, where you're an underdog, you've lost to the Spirit twice. They came out with a really tight strategy to kind of not press so much and make Washington's kind of pass through them. And that made it difficult. The Spirit got a couple chances. I thought McKenna Morris had a really good game, kind of breaking through. But then the longer we got into the game, it felt like Bay FC could kind of figure out, okay, this is where we need to patch a hole. And then Lacey Santos comes on to the half and I think changes a lot of things for Washington. You're going from having 3 rookies in the midfield to having someone who's, played in a World Cup, played in the Olympics. I thought she was really big. And she was the player that was open at the far post on the own goal in overtime. So they kind of had to do something or else Santos would have tapped it in. They knocked it in their own net for the winning goal.
Yeah. And her role on this team now, with the Sullivan injury, with the Bethune injury, she's critical. I mean, it appears that way, that if they're really going to win these next 2 matches and win a championship, she's critical to it.
She is, especially because you have to put Hal Hirschfeld in the Sullivan spot. Now she's playing a more defensive role, so you lose her ability to kind of attack and press forward. So you need Santos's creativity. And it was really interesting in that game, especially in the second half. She was kind of drifting side to side to play tight with Trinity Rodman or play tight with McKenna Morris and really combine in small spaces. And that's what that game needed, because like I said, Bay FC was really restricting the middle. So they almost had to play some combinations on the wing, draw Bay FC out of that, play crosses in. And that's what led to both of those goals. The second goal especially, Rodman got wide, played it in, forced the own goal with Santos at the back post.
So beginning of this, what a crazy year this has really been. At the beginning of the year, the connection was Bethune and Sarr, or Rodman and Sarr. Sarr hasn't played since September. I guess we'll see what happens later this week with her. Bethune had the most assists in the league, was out last 2 months, hasn't played. Andy Sullivan, glue, mom, however you want to describe her, team out. This is a very, very, very different team, and yet you feel the confidence when you watch them play. What do you attribute that to?
I think a lot of it is just you've got some players that don't know the difference. They started 4 rookies in that quarterfinal that tied the league record for most rookies that started in a game, and the entire midfield is rookies. So you have a lot of players that don't understand, what the role is necessarily in terms of this is a big deal that they're starting these games. So I think that confidence comes from them. Trinity Rodman breathes confidence. So when she's healthy, when she's playing well, I think they feed off that. And then I think there's just a belief in this team that they understand the roles. And we've heard both John Heraldes and Adrian Gonzalez talk about kind of playing spaces rather than playing positions. That was critical in that first goal because, a center back, Tara McCown, probably for most teams wouldn't be roaming that far forward, but she saw the space, took some aggressive touches after she won the ball and hit a perfect shot in the bottom corner. So I think the philosophy of this team gives it confidence too to say, okay, you can take risks, you can make plays, you can trust your instincts because the rest of this team will have your back.
On Rodman, once again, the referees just refuse to call it both ways with her, but I guess that's just life in her shoes. I don't for the life of me understand it. We've seen it over and over and over. I saw it again in the quarterfinal match. I will give their defender Melanson a lot of credit, who I thought played extraordinarily well against her and limited her to whatever degree they could. This is a very different matchup. She had a lot of success with Gotham. Again, very different teams when we saw them up at the Red Bull Stadium. But how do you see her maybe potentially being more effective in this match than maybe she was a week ago?
Really interested to see what Gotham's lineup's going to be because they have played almost kind of center back kind of players, outside backs lately. Mandy Freeman, Jess Carter. Jenna Nicewanger came off the bench in their quarterfinal win over Portland. I expect her to start. Someone who has national team experience, rookie of the year last year. She knows Rodman better than those players. So I think Rodman is going to be the key to the whole thing. If she can get in behind and get crosses, then I think that's big. And, this is a Gotham team that has a lot of experience, but not always the quickest in the back. Yeah. So Rodman could be the player that exploits that.
Yeah, so we were talking about this earlier off the air. The speed of Gotham might be a tick below what they've faced. It should be an advantage on the outside, especially for someone like Trinity Rodman.
For sure. Gotham's style is possess the ball, be really deliberate with build-up. Most of the year, they were winning a lot of games 1-0. Now they've opened up a bit more. Their offense has some more confidence. Esther, the Spanish forward's a big part of that. She was the key to their championship run last year, that she kind of got hot at the right time after coming up.
Did not play in the June match that we went to.
Right. Did not play in that match. You had Katie Stingle start that game, who's not even here anymore. They sold her to England in the offseason for England. So it's going to be a different look with her. Ella Stevens is another player that was a little bit banged up at that point when the Spirit played them the second time. She has been in good form for them. She's been one of their top scorers. And then you have the Rose Lavelle wild card. So they're more of a tactical team that can kind of break you down than a team that's going to play in behind and beat you with speed.
This was that match, and I'll go back to the Bay one because I want to get to the second half with you, obviously, about all the stuff that happened at the end. But since we're talking about Gotham, that match when we went up and called that, I remember walking out of there going, that team's really good. Mm-hmm. They're going to be here in the end, and that this was a key victory in the way that it went about, and there were a lot of odd moments in it. There was a red card that was given to a player who just complained too much, and it really altered. They were down, and that happened, and it kind of, I think it nullified them. Still, in the end, they would not stop coming. They earned a penalty kick at the end. I remember walking out of there going, I will not be surprised if in the end you see them.
For sure. And that's how I felt too. And again, going back to the way they like to play, when they're playing with 10, they can't build up. They can't be as technical. So the Spirit were really able to use their athleticism and exploit that in that game at Red Bull Arena. And I think it'll be similar. I think it's going to be a matter of, can you isolate players 1v1 with Rodman, with Morris, with Rose Kawasi, who comes back from suspension. I think that's going to be the key for Washington offensively, is to kind of get those players 1v1, beat them, and either score yourself or play it into somebody as the defense adjusts to you.
All right, excited to call the match with Mike and Gabby Vincent tomorrow at Audi Field, 12 p.m. If you're there, stop by, say hi. We'll be hanging out over the ledge near the press box near the Spirit side of the bench. Check it out. We'll have a full recap of that, hopefully onto a championship. We'll see. And, of course, a full recap of the entirety of Week 11 on Monday. Ray Marshall Show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital.